Yep, I survived off vegetarian fast food for 7 days. But this isn't just some quirky food challenge, this is a deep dive into one of America's most bizarre and quietly controversial industries, vegetarian fast food.
Eating plant-based food is a political statement.
Because unlike the cow, we're innovating every single day.
Got an Impossible Whopper because it should be impossible to look this good.
The meat culture wars.
Now we can turn plants into burgers and hot dogs.
When is it my turn to be happy?
Super disgusting.
Everything I would want a burger to be, just with a plant-based patty.
Methyl cellulose.
One of their best food performing items in Starbucks is our Impossible Sausage Sandwich.
Over the last few years, plant-based options have crept into drive-thru menus across the country, helping companies build billion-dollar empires on the back of meatless burgers, wraps, and bowls. But with their rise comes a murkier side. PR campaigns, lawsuits, lobbying, and even a dude literally nicknamed Dr. Evil. What the heck is going on here? This isn't some conspiracy theory, it's real life. And to figure out what's actually going on, I'm going to investigate the only way I know how by surviving off strictly vegetarian fast food for an entire week. I'm gonna eat 3 times a day to equal 21 vegetarian fast food meals, no meat, no fish, no exceptions. I'll be following the most common vegetarian diet known as lactovo-vegetarianism, meaning I can still eat dairy and eggs, but no meat and no fish. Along the way, I'm gonna dig into what impossible meat actually is, who's funding it, and whether it's even good for you. I'll look into the science of protein, how much you really need, and why hitting those numbers without meat, especially through fast food, is way harder than you may think, and more. So join me as I try to figure out, is vegetarian fast food the future, or is it complete trash? Like the most ratchet, most disgusting trash to ever exist. You thought fast food was trash? You ain't seen nothing yet, baby. Oh, and special thanks to Rocket Money for sponsoring this video. More on that later. Mercer County, Pennsylvania. You might be wondering where the mecca of vegetarianism is. Well, it's not here. Permani Bros, cows, General Tso's chicken, these are words whispered every day in the Midwest region of America. Meat is ingrained in our culture and part of almost every aspect of our lives. As a young boy, I was always looking for a way to score a burger, steak, or rack of ribs. This habitual preference for grilled meats has lasted my entire life. For I, like many others, enjoy meat. But what else is out there? Aliens? Vegetarians? 2 sets of species I'm not entirely familiar with. And while I can't copy what extraterrestrial beings might consume, I can simulate what a vegetarian might order at a fast food joint, and do it for 7 days. My first stop? Dunkin' Donuts? Yeah, you know, the iconic fast food restaurant, Dunkin' Donuts. Now, I rarely order food items from here, but for this challenge, I have to get creative. To start, something simple, something no one could mess up, a modern classic, avocado toast. When I ordered this, I had no idea what to expect. Let me tell you, Dunkin' shouldn't be allowed to call this toast. This was less toast, more soggy bread with a personality crisis. It was sad, and we're off to a lackluster start. 2.5 out of 10. Now, you might be wondering, why even attempt to eat at Dunkin' Donuts for vegetarian fast food? To make things as interesting as possible, I've also made a few rules/guidelines for myself throughout this adventure. No eating at the same fast food place more than 3 times, no repeating menu items, and finally, try to get as much protein as possible. I made these rules to test how realistic, varied, and nutritionally viable vegetarian fast food actually is. Because if the only meatless option is fries 3 times a day, then, well, we've got a problem. I wanted to push beyond the default side items and see what these menus really have to offer. That also means I'm not sticking to a strict budget, I'm not counting dollars, I'm counting grams of protein. That said, I'll still be tracking everything: the cost, the nutrition, my weight, and of course, ranking every item I eat as we go on. For lunch, I ventured over to Burger King, a surprisingly big player in the vegetarian fast food game. All thanks to one item: the Impossible Whopper. BK really went all in on this launch when it debuted nationally back in 2019, with full-scale ads, billboards, and the kind of fanfare usually reserved for Marvel movies. I vividly remember the hype. I tried one when it first dropped and thought it was, well, disgusting. So yeah, I wasn't really looking forward to this. But let me tell you, this was shockingly good. Like, actually good. It tasted like a burger, slightly sweet, slightly smoky, and with enough toppings to make me forget it was fake. Apparently a few years ago, Impossible changed their recipe, and let me tell you, this is significantly better than what I had before. No joke, I really like this. 9 out of 10. The BK fries, standard issue, not that great. I'd say a 5 out of 10. It's funny, for a brief moment, I forgot I was filming a vegetarian fast food documentary and felt like I was just making questionable decisions on a Sunday. By dinner, I was starting to feel bold, so I went to Starbucks. When I think of Starbucks, I think of coffee, not food. And to be honest, I've never actually ordered a real meal there. Correction, years ago, an ex of mine used to get cake pops, and I think I had a bite once, but other than that, nothing. I've always avoided Starbucks food, mostly because of the price tag. But today, for the sake of science, I was willing to see what they had to offer. I ordered the tomato and mozzarella on focaccia and a grilled cheese because nothing says variety like cheese on bread followed by more cheese on slightly different bread. Welcome to my basement. It's cold and dark like my soul and heart and everything inside. I'm here to eat some Starbucks right now. One might say, why eat Starbucks in a basement? It was kind of rainy outside. Weather's just been crazy. Pennsylvania weather, you know how it is. And yeah, so I figured might as well come down here. Not gonna lie, it smells pretty good. It's really good. It's very good. I'm a fan. Tomato and mozzarella on focaccia, 8 out of 10. All right, now the grilled cheese. This is good. Grilled cheese, 8 out of 10. Both sandwiches impressed me, and for ordering food at Starbucks for the first time, I was really surprised how well things tasted. The day is over, and here are my nutritional stats. While all these numbers deserve additional analysis, which I'll cover later on, I really want to talk about protein. Now, this isn't a weight loss or fitness documentary, but I do want to establish a little essential context. Because when you're eating vegetarian fast food for 7 days straight, getting enough protein suddenly becomes a puzzle. Protein is hands down the biggest counter-argument people throw at vegetarianism. Protein helps muscle repair, supports your immune system, helps you feeling full, and generally plays a crucial role in how your body functions. And for vegetarians, getting the right amount of protein usually means consuming lentils, eggs, dairy products, tofu, plant-based meat alternatives, or even taking supplements. But what exactly is the right amount? Well, that's kind of complicated. For decades, experts have debated how much protein we actually need. According to the FDA, the recommended daily value for protein is 50 grams a day based on a 2,000 calorie diet. Now, if you've ever taken a health class or glanced at the food pyramid, you probably know this isn't exactly the gold standard. Most people, especially athletes, have been ignoring that number for decades, and for good reason. The actual science, according to the Dietary Reference Intake, says the bare minimum protein a human needs is 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight. That's just enough to keep your organs from falling apart. Now, interestingly, for endurance athletes, people who run, bike, or swim regularly, the recommended intake jumps to 1.2 to 1.4 grams per kilogram. And that range is backed by legit sources like the Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding. Now, I run 5 times a week, lift 3 times a week, I'm 6 foot, have a 32 waist, and weigh 230-ish pounds. So to support my training and to stay healthy, I should be aiming for around 135 grams of protein per day, or at the absolute minimum, just to function, 83 grams. Which begs the real question, can you actually get enough protein eating only vegetarian fast food? Well, we're gonna find out. Day 2 arrived, and I started my Monday like I normally do, heading off to the gym. I started going Monday through Friday about a month ago, and it's going pretty great. Gym isn't a massive part of these challenges for me, but I want to be transparent that I am working out during this, not just consuming a ton of unhealthy food and playing Counter-Strike. Post-gym, it was time for my first meal of the day, McDonald's. Now, McDonald's isn't exactly a haven for vegetarians, at least not in the US. Other countries have a McVeggie, some even have a McPlant, but here, well, you're kind of left to cobble something together from the breakfast menu and hope for the best. So I went with what felt like my 2 safest bets, an egg and cheese McGriddle and an egg McMuffin with no meat. Simple enough, right? Well, they messed up my order. Despite asking for no meat and clearly specifying that on the app, my Egg McMuffin came with a big ol' slice of Canadian bacon right in the middle. What is worse, to feel pain or nothing at all? I don't know, but this sandwich sucks. 4 out of 10. The McGriddle was slightly better, at least there was no meat accidentally put on it. It walks the line between breakfast and dessert in a way that I respect but also fear. 6.5 out of 10. And look, I get the appeal, but I normally crash after something this sugary before 10 a.m., and I'm feeling it already. I need to go home and rinse off the filth from the gym. Get ready to write this down. My shower routine is very specific and a crucial part to this challenge. First, I wash my, okay, I hate to interrupt whatever is happening here, but I want to take a quick second to thank the sponsor of today's video, Rocket Money. I genuinely love Rocket Money. Just this past fall, I signed up for a handful of streaming services during Black Friday, and like clockwork, I forgot to cancel a few, but Rocket Money caught them, notified me, and saved me money. Rocket Money is an all-in-one personal finance app that helps you cancel unwanted subscriptions, lower bills, set budgets, and manage your money smarter all in one place. Here's how it works. Once you connect your bank account, Rocket Money shows all of your subscriptions in one clean list. From there, you can cancel the ones you don't need anymore with just a few taps. Since using it, I've canceled multiple recurring charges I didn't even realize were happening. And trust me, that feeling of finally taking control, incredible. Mwah. Rocket Money users have saved up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. And collectively, they've already saved over $500 million in canceled subscriptions. So if you want to spend less, save more, and stop getting blindsided by mystery charges, head to rocketmoney.com/ZacharySmigel or click the link in the description to get started for free. Huge thanks to Rocket Money for sponsoring this video. Okay, now let's get back to it. It was time for lunch, and weirdly, I was craving a salad. Most chains have quietly phased salads off their menus over the years, but Wendy's still offers a few, so I decided to go all in on their Cobb salad, minus the bacon and chicken, of course. Instead, I subbed in extra blue cheese and shredded cheese to try and squeeze out as much protein as possible. And it was okay, totally average. Nothing to write home about unless your home really loves iceberg lettuce and disappointment. But there was one thing I didn't account for until after I ate it and looked up the nutritional info: the sodium. Between the cheese, the dressing, and whatever science keeps fast food lettuce alive, the salad clocked in at 1,810 milligrams of sodium. That's nearly an entire day's worth of salt in one bowl of a supposedly healthy food. I'll be honest, I never really looked at nutritional labels when it comes to fast food until about yesterday, and I was generally shocked at how something as innocent as a Cobb salad with some extras could be saltier than a drive-through hash brown. Salad rating 5.5 out of 10. To make matters worse, I ordered large fries, a small Frosty, and even a packet of Wendy's Ghost Pepper Ranch. The fries, always solid, crisp, and golden. Wendy's might have the best fries, 9.5 out of 10. And the Frosty, cold, sweet, and comforting, I would go with an 8 out of 10. Now, after McDonald's for breakfast and Wendy's for lunch, I wanted to complete the trifecta of hating myself by hitting up Taco Bell. Taco Bell is typically known as the ideal vegetarian fast food place, so I was really excited to explore their options. I downloaded their app and was surprised to see they even have a vegetarian section on the menu. I ended up going with the Taco Bell $7 box. Is this thing on? All right, I'm here for some vegetarian Taco Bell. It's windy, it's sunny out, right? But it's actually pretty cold, but that's okay. And we're gonna try out some vegetarian Taco Bell. First, the Black Bean Crunchwrap Supreme. This thing was crunchy as advertised and super good. Probably one of the best Taco Bell items, and without the meat, the vegetarian version is just as good as the alternative. 9 out of 10. Also, side note, I asked for 15 packets, I only got 2. It's kind of like a slap in the face, but it's whatever. All right, here's the 5-layer burrito. This thing was fairly good. It's a classic. 7.5 out of 10. And then finally, one of my personal favorite items, something that they took away for a while, then they brought back, the cheesy Fiesta potatoes. These are just legendary. They're like an iconic Taco Bell item, and it's for a reason. You know, you can't go wrong with it. Heaven in a plastic container, 9 out of 10. No matter what happens, life is good, you know? You know what's not good though? I checked my nutritional stats for the day and saw I consumed an insanely high 8,377 milligrams of sodium. Yikes. I did get close to my target protein goal, which is great, but the sodium, that level is completely unsustainable. Day 3 arrived and my morale was already starting to take a dip. I needed a win. After the gym for my first meal, I decided to give Starbucks breakfast a shot. On day 1, I noticed they had the Impossible breakfast sandwich on their menu, and I was really curious to try another Impossible branded sandwich. Naturally, the Starbucks I usually go to didn't have the sandwich, so I had to trek to another location just to track it down. So I ordered that along with the egg white and roasted red pepper egg bites. I was going in blind here, and my expectations were fairly low. First up, the Impossible breakfast sandwich. And honestly, it was fire. The patty had a rich, savory flavor, meaty without being meat. and the texture was on point, 9 out of 10. Then came the egg bites. These were fine, nothing mind-blowing, but warm, fluffy, a little bland, and a decent texture. 7 out of 10. I hit the rest of the breakfast sandwich with some sriracha, and baby, I was in business.
Guys, I gotta be honest with you. That Impossible breakfast sandwich was really good. I'm really impressed with how well the Impossible burger and now the Impossible breakfast sandwich tasted. I know I mentioned it before, but I just want to emphasize I had the Impossible burger years ago and it tasted pretty bad back then. Whatever they're doing now is considerably better.
Not only was this my best breakfast of the week so far, it was also the first time I felt like I wasn't settling, a rare win in the wild terrain of vegetarian fast food. But it got me thinking, what even is in the sandwich that I just ate? Seriously, I had no idea. So I started digging into the world of Impossible meat. And yeah, it's a rabbit hole. If you're a meat eater like me, you might be skeptical of meat alternatives. I get it. Fake meat's been the punchline of jokes for years. It's been called everything from lab meat to soy Play-Doh. And yet, plant-based meat isn't going anywhere. In fact, the global market is projected to hit $15.7 billion by 2027, nearly doubling from just a few years ago. Leading that charge are brands like Beyond Meat and Impossible Foods. Impossible Foods is the company behind the Burger King Impossible Whopper and the Starbucks meatless breakfast sandwich. The company was founded in 2011 by a Stanford biochemist and are backed by Google Ventures, Bill Gates, and a waterfall of Silicon Valley cash. Their star product, a soy-based plant-based protein designed to look, cook, and taste like ground beef. The secret ingredient is something called heme, a molecule that gives meat its iron-rich, bloody flavor. Now, normally this molecule is found in animal muscle, but Impossible figured out how to make it using genetically modified yeast, which sounds terrifying. But in practice, it just means it sizzles like beef and bleeds like beef without, you know, the cow. So is it healthy? Well, sort of. Impossible meat has no cholesterol, solid protein, and less saturated fat than beef. But it's also high in sodium and highly processed. So no, it's not the perfect superfood. But when stacked against regular meat, it's not the villain some make it out to be. And for a lot of people, it's not even about health. It's about sustainability, ethics, or both. So in theory, this all sounds good, but theory only takes you so far. As I mentioned earlier, fake meat is full of skeptics and undoubtedly has a reputation problem. Take this for a bizarre example. The now iconic soy Wojak pointing meme? Yeah, that originated from two guys posing in front of a Beyond Fried Chicken sign at a KFC in 2020. Just two vegans excited to try meatless nuggets. That's it. In 2 days, the post was hijacked by Facebook pages claiming that men like this were proof that testosterone is dying and the West is in decline. A couple 4chan posts later, and now we have a viral meme, all from plant-based chicken. Now, sure, the internet will always be the internet, but what's wild about this is it's evolved past memes and trolling. There are bigger players behind the scenes. Corporate lobbying, PR firms, legal battles, powerful industries doing everything they can to stop fake meat from taking market share. But we'll get into that later. I think I'm getting hungry. For my second meal of the day, it was time to go somewhere my friends, family members, and old viewers know I disdain. Panera bread.
Okay, so believe it or not, this is kind of a big deal for me. I haven't stepped foot in a Panera bread in like 15 years. I used to work there and I absolutely hated it. My boss was cruel and I saved up enough money for a car and then I pretty much found another job, which was way better. But yes, this is going to be kind of interesting. I have no idea how this is going to go. So let's see.
Visiting Panera feels wrong, like hitting up an ex after 15 years and instantly recognizing her signature perfume. But instead of 21 Black, I was hit with the smell of overpriced soup. For my meal, I ordered the Fuji apple salad with obviously no chicken and a cup of mac and cheese, doing the You Pick Two combo, which on paper sounds like a deal, but my total was $14.50, so I feel like it really wasn't. The salad was pretty good, crisp greens, decent apple slices. I'd give the salad an 8 out of 10. Fun fact, the famous Panera mac and cheese that everyone hypes up, yeah, it's microwaved in a plastic bag and squeezed out like toothpaste. Or at least it was when I was there. That said, it still tastes good. Creamy and comforting, 7 out of 10. The baguette also smacked. One thing I do have to give Panera credit for is they bake everything fresh daily, and it shows in the quality and taste. 8.5 out of 10. And that was Panera. That wasn't too bad, I guess. I honestly can't believe I did it. I finally ate here after so long. I guess time does heal all wounds. For my final meal of the day, I had planned on hitting up Five Guys. I had heard through the grapevine that they have a really unique vegetarian item on their menu that I had to try. The legendary Veggie sandwich. Now, what exactly is the Veggie sandwich? According to their description, it's freshly grilled onions, mushrooms, and green peppers layered with lettuce and tomatoes on a soft toasted sesame bun. Important detail, it's not a veggie burger. No patty, no plant-based meat, no impossible magic, just sauteed vegetables stacked on a bun and call it a day. Naturally, I had to try it.
Of course, how could I forget? Came with complimentary peanuts. Peanuts are vegetarian as far as I can tell, and they're free. But for the real treat, the veggie sandwich. Let's see what we're working with. It actually looks not too bad. I mean, it's all the things you would have on a burger, but just no patty.
This thing was tasty. While it was obvious there was no meat on it, they did a great job at blending the veggies and cheese together to make a unique tasting sandwich.
So you know when you have a bite from a regular burger and there's like no meat in that bite and it feels a little weird? That's actually not like this, because the way they built the burger is they really stacked the veggies on this thing. I mean, look at this thing. It's stacked. They've got tomatoes, jalapenos, and cheese and mushrooms, and that kind of like blends it all together. I'm surprised. It's actually pretty good.
7 out of 10.
I do actually wish they had a veggie burger though, because I mean, like, I'd still say that the Impossible Burger's better than that, and for that price, it's kind of a ripoff.
Of course, next was the fries, which are incredible, salty goodness, and Five Guys always gives you a ton. 8 out of 10. Here are my stats for day 3, and despite eating like a maniac, I'm feeling pretty solid. So let's press on. Day 4 started and I woke up feeling a bit tired. As per usual, I ventured to the gym. I had myself a solid workout and ordered my first meal of the day. The place, Panera bread. The items, a few. I was mobile ordering, so I had to download another app. It's getting a bit out of control at this point. I wanted to try 3 things today. Firstly, their egg and cheese breakfast sandwich. Second, their avocado toast. And finally, I was really missing out on some fruit, so I wanted to see what the vibe was like with their fruit cups. Fun fact, I was here when they installed this drive-thru, so I can say I basically built this place. I got the goods and ventured home. First, the avocado toast.
This, in my opinion, is like 5 times better than Dunkin's. Dunkin's seemed like it was microwaved or something and not even toasted. This is a nice undercarriage, which you can see that. Nice and toasted, not soggy at all. This is pretty good. If you're getting avocado toast from somewhere, I think this is the move.
8 out of 10. Next is the super special fruit cup.
So in here, there's honeydew melon, red seedless grapes, fresh cantaloupe, and fresh pineapple. Although I don't see any grapes in here, so they might have lied about that, or maybe there's some sort of grape shortage. Who knows? Tell you what, for not having fruit for a couple days, it's pretty darn good.
Overall, 4 out of 10. Despite the taste, I just can't give this my blessing, as I just feel like it's such a waste of money buying these fruit cups. Just buy fruit in bulk and pack your own. Finally, the egg and cheese sandwich. This was pretty standard, pretty basic. 7 out of 10.
I don't know, I just feel like the markup on these things are so high. You know, if it takes you 10-15 minutes to make these, why not just make it yourself? Because at home, it would probably taste better. You could put your own items on it. For something so basic to pay this much, it's just kind of crazy in my opinion.
For my second meal of the day, I decided to explore another item on the Starbucks menu. First, here was my Starbucks fit, the rare t-shirt, shorts, and beanie combo. When it comes to coffee, I usually stick to local coffee shops, so going to Starbucks always feels a little bit off. You never really know what vibe you're going to get. This time, I walked in and found the place completely empty, which was kind of nice. Meal-wise, I ordered the spicy falafel pocket with a side of sriracha. As for the falafel pocket, surprisingly good. Flavorful with a decent amount of spice. Like I mentioned on day 1, I've never ordered food items from Starbucks before this challenge, and so far I've been impressed with the quality. Solid item overall, 8.5 out of 10. After filling up my tank with gas, it was time for my third meal, and I needed to head back to Taco Bell. This time around, I ordered the Taco Bell Power Bowl veggie version and a Taco Bell cheese quesadilla, 2 pretty iconic vegetarian Taco Bell items. While I waited for my order, the evil forces preventing me from being too powerful conjured up some mega tiredness in my mind. Like, I'm feeling exhausted, but that's okay. I'm sure Taco Bell will solve that. I grabbed my food and ventured out to the lake for a scenic dinner. We're here at the lake.
Not gonna lie, I'm feeling kind of tired. This is probably the most I felt tired in a long time. I don't know if the fast food is getting to me or the lack of meat is getting to me. I don't know what the case is, but I'm not feeling that great. So I don't know, just figured I'd note of that. They did give me appropriate amounts of sauce this time. I'm very happy about that. A little bit of a disaster here with the bowl, but you know, food's there. It looks pretty decent, other than the fact it looks like, it's been thrown around a couple times. It might have been my fault. Here's what we're working with cheese quesadilla wise. Kind of looks a little bit thrown in there, but whatever. All right, cheese quesadilla. Digging in first. Not bad. It's nothing crazy. Say what you want about Taco Bell, but their sauce packets, in my opinion, elite tier. You can't go wrong with some hot, fire, mild. It's just good. I don't know if I'm just super hungry, but I just destroyed that really fast.
6.5 out of 10.
All right, I sauced up my veggie bowl. Let's try it. I can't complain. I mean, there's not much going on here. Rice, bean, veggies, but I like it.
The Taco Bell Power Bowl, I'd give a 7 out of 10. It gets the job done. The day is over, and here are my nutritional stats. Today is definitely the worst I felt so far throughout this experience. Tired, sluggish, and just not myself. Feeling a bit hazy, like I'm in Stanley Kubrick's Eyes Wide Shut. Take that however you want. Day 5 arrived, and so did the rain. I've definitely noticed a slight decline in my gym performance this week, but I'm staying optimistic. I decided to hit up Wendy's for breakfast. Every day I pull into another drive-thru, I stray further from achieving inner peace. Sitting, waiting, pondering. At least I get to interact with nice people most of the time. Shout out to all the amazing service workers out there. You are loved and deserve the world. Today's order was simple but deadly. An egg and cheese biscuit, a 4-piece French toast sticks, and their seasoned potatoes. All right, I'm in my kitchen for another vegetarian fast food review. I feel a little bad doing this in my kitchen because I'm eating this stuff and not cooking anything, but good thing my kitchen doesn't have feelings, right? Anyways, let's check out what we're working with. First up was the egg and cheese biscuit. This thing was buttery, dense, and unapologetically heavy, like someone baked a pillow and filled it with cheddar. Honestly, it slapped. Not life-changing, but for a fast food biscuit, it definitely understood the assignment. 7.8 out of 10. Next were the seasoned potatoes, and I don't say this lightly, these potatoes tasted like they've seen things. Cold, limp, and somehow both soggy and dry at the same time. Almost like they had been exiled from the fryer years ago and were just now emerging to haunt my morning. 2 out of 10. Finally came the French toast sticks. And listen, these were actually delightful. Slightly crispy on the outside, fluffy on the inside, and perfectly engineered. Childhood nostalgia levels were activated immediately. And even though I've said before I'm not a sweets for breakfast guy, this felt so right for being so wrong. 8.6 out of 10. After breakfast, things started to go downhill. It was becoming harder and harder to find vegetarian fast food options. I had already burned through the heavy hitters like Taco Bell and Starbucks. Now, it felt like I was generally running out of places to go. Popeyes, nothing. Arby's, nothing. KFC, nothing. At this point, I was desperate. What was left? Well, there's Dairy Queen. Great. Nothing screams balanced vegetarian diet like a place known primarily for soft serve and triple bacon cheeseburgers. But hey, I'm committed. So off we go. And of course, I had to download yet another fast food app just to place an order. I was weirdly optimistic because I saw they had salads and the app seemed to allow customization. I thought I could just take the chicken off and be golden. Easy, right? Nope. Turns out you can customize the salad, change the dressing, swap out the cheese, but you can't remove the chicken. Removing the literal meat from a salad was apparently a bridge too far for Dairy Queen's engineering department. Frustrated but still clinging to life, I ended up going with a basic side salad and a ton of sides to try and salvage the trip. Somewhere between downloading another fast food app and ordering a sad handful of lettuce, the crushing realization hit me. This week might actually break me. The side salad was about what you'd expect, barely dressed, mostly iceberg, and it tasted like it was assembled by someone who lost a bet. 5 out of 10. The onion rings looked promising, but were weirdly hollow inside, kind of like my soul at this point. 6.5 out of 10. The cheese curds were solid enough, a little rubbery, but cheesy and satisfying in a way that I was okay with it. 6.9 out of 10. But hey, small wins. Also, it just so happened to be free cone day at Dairy Queen, so naturally, I grabbed a twist cone on the way out, and for the first time all day, I felt something close to happiness. 8 out of 10. Finally, something that didn't make me question my life choices, at least for 5 minutes. For my third meal of the day, I had to venture out to Niles, Ohio. I've officially reached the point where I need to start expanding my options past Mercer County in order to make this challenge work. Niles is home to a Chick-fil-A, which has vegetarian options, believe it or not. Their salads, I can actually take the chicken off, unlike at Dairy Queen, so that's the plan.
Hey guys.
What if I just start the video like that? I just arrived to Niles and I wanted to do a quick little video update. Feels like every single one of these challenges around day 5 to day 10, like around that like area, I just start to like really deal with something, whether it be my stomach or my energy levels or both. This time, my stomach's been feeling great, actually. Believe it or not, my stomach feels good. But my energy levels are just not there. I'm exhausted. I'm so tired. I want to nap. If I could nap right now, I would. Yeah, I don't feel great.
I've actually never physically been to a legit Chick-fil-A before. When I pulled in, the drive-through line was wrapped around the building like it was Black Friday at Best Buy. So I decided to eat inside instead. And it was a little weird in here. First of all, they had real flowers on the tables, like actual living, breathing flowers. And at some point, someone caught me sniffing them.
Are they real? Yeah. Smell them. They're real. Oh, wow. I was wondering what that smell was. Are those ones real too?
They sure are.
As for the food, the salad was pretty good, definitely better than the other one I had at Wendy's. More toppings, fresher ingredients, but at the end of the day, it's still a fast food salad. I'd give it a 6.8 out of 10. Overall, not too bad, but I need to go home and get some rest. I think I might be losing it. Day 6 is here and it's a beautiful morning. I hit the gym early, felt good, and decided to give Dunkin' another shot to see if they could redeem themselves after the disaster that was day 1. This time I ordered a Dunkin' egg and cheese on a bagel, an egg and cheese wake up wrap, some hash browns, and an iced coffee. I decided to switch it up and take my food to the local park, sit outside, absorb some sunlight, and pretend I wasn't slowly losing my mind. The egg and cheese on a bagel wasn't bad at all. Pretty solid for what it is, 7 out of 10. The wake up wrap though was pretty lame. These things are fairly cheap though, so really they're not that all bad, but I just feel like I have to say that there's so many better breakfast wraps out there that provide more, so I'd give this a 5 out of 10. The hash browns were surprisingly flavorful, but incredibly greasy, like so greasy, and not at all in a good way. 6 out of 10. For my second meal, I went back to Panera one final time. This time I did the You Pick 2 again and got the Garden Caprese melt along with a cup of broccoli cheddar soup.
All right, here I am on the floor, much like our ancestors ate Panera bread thousands of years ago. Let's see what we're getting into. So I asked for chips and they gave me bread. Not a huge deal, but I'll show you proof. It says right on there chips, but instead they gave me a baguette. Let's see how the sandwich tastes.
I was a little disappointed with the sandwich. I asked for extra sauce and they absolutely drenched it, which listen, I get it, that's partially on me, but there needs to be an option between normal amount and someone dropped it into a vat of dressing. Seriously, all my sauce people out there, let me know if you agree. Overall, the sandwich was pretty mediocre at best. I'd give it a 5 out of 10. Then came the broccoli cheddar soup, and this batch looked rough, super runny, and unfortunately, I think I know why. See, back when I worked at Panera, the soups weren't made fresh. They were pre-cooked, sealed in plastic bags, and reheated in something called a rethermalizer. Now, a rethermalizer is basically a giant water bath that heats pre-packaged food safely up to serving temperature. Convenient, sure, a lot of places use these types of machines, but sometimes if the bags aren't sealed properly or sat overnight, water would leak into them. When that happened, I was taught to toss it out. Now, maybe they've changed the recipe since my Panera days, maybe this is just a one-off bad batch, but based on the watery texture and sad consistency, I'm pretty confident this was a classic case of soupy water bag syndrome. 3 out of 10. After my pretty lackluster Panera experience, I wasn't exactly feeling optimistic, but for my third meal, I headed back to Chick-fil-A, this time to try their Southwest Veggie wrap. And it was not great. Bland and boring. A sad tortilla trying to pretend like it was a real meal. 5 out of 10. And in my bath of disappointment, I started thinking, why? Why isn't there more? Where were the impossible options and beyond chicken drops we were promised years ago? The lack of vegetarian fast food options weren't just frustrating for me and my experience, it was puzzling. I thought this was supposed to be the future. The deeper I got into exploring all of these fast food restaurant menus, the more lost I've become. Everything is starting to feel less like an accident and more like a pattern. That night, I found myself at karaoke singing my heart out, and yet these thoughts wouldn't leave me. So I think it's time we have an important conversation. If you've watched any of my previous food-related documentaries, you know I tried to dig far deeper than the average deep dive. Often I'll get people suggesting a ton of different food-related challenges, Arby's, McDonald's, Subway. I think people just really want to see me suffer. I'm half kidding. I truly appreciate all the suggestions, but I really want to cover topics with angles or unique perspectives. Even though these sections are often watched less than when I'm chowing down on some crazy food, I think now more than ever, context and taking a step back from things and just really looking at things from a different perspective is so freaking essential. For this video, I spent weeks trying to find out everything I could about vegetarian fast food. In the beginning, I wanted to look at its viability. Like, is it just a fad? Is it here to stay? Is there demand for it? I soon realized that while there obviously was demand for plant-based options, more in some areas than others, none of that really matters because there's a war going on right now behind the scenes. I'm serious. And legit, no one is talking about it. The only reason I stumbled upon any of this was because in college, I wrote a paper on vegetarianism. And I vividly remember what my professor said. He said it was good, not great. It could have been way better, and I wasn't asking the right questions during the research phase. I wasn't digging deep enough into the real story. And he was right. So now almost 5 years later, I decided to pick up that thread where I left off and really dig. One thing that popped up in my research was how often plant-based meat alternatives were getting hit with bad press. Full-page ads in the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal comparing Impossible and Beyond products to dog food. Yes, dog food. And even a Super Bowl commercial mocking Impossible and Beyond products and their ingredients.
You might need a PhD to understand what's in synthetic meat. If you can't spell it or pronounce it, maybe you shouldn't be eating it.
Bacon. B-A-C-O-N.
Many of these ads lead to a website called Clean Food Facts. If you explore their website, you can find tons of hit pieces on their blog about plant-based meat alternatives, like 5 fast food fake meat fails and the Beyond Meat bust. Now, what's interesting is this site, along with all those ads, were created by a nonprofit group called the Center for Consumer Freedom, or CCF. Consumer freedom? That sounds good and wholesome, right? Well, the CCF isn't exactly a neutral watchdog group. It's run by Richard Berman, a notorious PR operative so infamous he's been nicknamed Dr. Evil by 60 Minutes. His resume includes defending tobacco companies, alcohol lobbyists, junk food giants, and more. But here's where things get even crazier. The Center for Consumer Freedom, now rebranded as CORE, is a nonprofit, which means they aren't required to disclose their donors, and they don't. Officially, the group claims support from restaurants, food companies, and thousands of individual consumers. But over the years, investigative reports and leaked documents have given us some ideas of who funds them. According to records cited by watchdog groups, organizations like Coca-Cola, Wendy's, Outback Steakhouse, and Tyson Foods have donated to the group, some of the biggest names in the food and meat industries. While we may never know exactly how much money has flowed from Big Meat to the CCF, it's fairly obvious there are ties. But I don't think most people realize any of this. Big Beef launched a full-scale PR assault on plant-based meat, and most people had no idea it was happening. And it wasn't just ad campaigns. States like Missouri and Arkansas passed laws banning plant-based companies from even using the word meat on their products. Now, obviously, plant-based meat isn't perfect. It's processed, it's expensive, it's owned by billionaires who, let's be real, we probably shouldn't blindly trust. But I do think it's a bit ironic that the industry selling literal hot dogs, the original mystery meat, is attacking fake meat for being too fake. So why bring this up? Well, because if we're going to ask whether vegetarian fast food deserves a permanent place on the menu, you should know that there are powerful forces trying to keep it off. I'm not here to tell you what side to pick. Do what you want, eat what you want, but just know when you roll up to a drive-through window, you're not just choosing dinner. You're picking a side in a war that most people don't even realize is happening. The final day had arrived, and at this point, my life had been completely consumed by meatless fast food. It was getting so out of control that when I hop on Instagram, I immediately get hit with ads for fast food places. This is ridiculous. But I was so close to the finish line, I could taste it. And for my last day, I had a few special plans, including driving all the way to Canton, Ohio. But first, breakfast. I stopped at Burger King to kick things off and ordered a bunch of different things. The egg and cheese biscuit was decent, 6.8 out of 10, but the egg and cheese croissant was noticeably better. Flakier, lighter, and way more enjoyable, 7.9 out of 10. The hash browns were disappointing. Old, greasy, and tasted like they've given up on life. 4 out of 10. I grabbed some churros too, which were sweet and actually pretty good. I mean, that's essentially like a cinnamon donut, and it's good. It's very good. 7 out of 10. After breakfast, I hit the road, making the long drive to Canton because the closest Culver's was there. And I had my eye on something special, their unique Harvest Veggie Burger. When I got there, I went all in. A Harvest Veggie Burger, medium fries, coleslaw, and even a side salad with vinaigrette. Yeah, it was a lot of food, but if I was going all out, I wanted to go out with a bang. And honestly, Culver's delivered. The Harvest Veggie Burger was surprisingly good, fresh, hearty, and packed with real flavor. 9.5 out of 10. The fries were crispy and well seasoned, classic Culver's quality, 7.5 out of 10. The coleslaw was creamy and had a decent crunch, 6.5 out of 10. The side salad was fresh, basic, but solid, especially with vinaigrette, 6.8 out of 10. So yeah, Culver slapped. While I was in Canton, I stopped to fill up etch sheets and run to the bathroom, and I immediately ran into a bizarre situation. I know this is really out there, but this was so bizarre to me that I have to talk about this. Inside the men's bathroom, there was a pile of balloons with cash inside them. I have no idea why, and I was too afraid to touch them, but I asked the employee about it, and he said, "Oh yeah, that's just the balloon bathroom guy. He comes in and does that all the time." At that point, I realized I needed to get out of Canton, Ohio immediately. For my final meal of the challenge, I made the long trek to Boardman, Ohio to check out Swenson's, another fast food chain with a few interesting vegetarian options. All right, for the final meal, we're going with Swenson's, Ohio's finest. That's a patty of some sort. All right, Swenson's salad boy going in. Solid flavor, fresh toppings, and definitely a win to close things out. 8 out of 10. I also tried their Just Veggies sandwich, assuming it would be something like Five Guys veggie sandwich, but no. It was literally just cold veggies thrown onto a bun. 3 out of 10. This was recommended by the fella there. These are their most popular fried item. I grabbed the side of teasers too, cheesy potato bites, which were decent. I'd give this a 6 out of 10. And just like that, I was done. The weight lifted off my shoulders, the sun was setting. After 7 long days, dozens of questionable meals, and more fast food egg and cheeses that any human should ever endure, I actually did it. After a full week of surviving solely on vegetarian fast food, what did I actually learn? How much protein did I eat? How much sodium did I consume? Is it healthy? Is it affordable? Was it even remotely sustainable? Well, let's look at the numbers. On average, I consumed 3,095 calories, 159 grams of fat, 5,845 milligrams of sodium, 328 grams of carbs, and 88 grams of protein per day. So for starters, yes, it's possible. You can survive off vegetarian fast food for that long. I didn't die. I didn't pass out from protein withdrawal. And honestly, it wasn't the worst thing I've eaten consecutively. But, and I'm gonna say it again, but I definitely argue that living off only vegetarian fast food is wildly impractical and generally not a good idea. Here's why. First, the cost. Surviving off vegetarian fast food for 7 days cost me a whopping $237.45. At about $34 a day, if this was stretched out for a month, you'd be spending over $1,000 on fast food. That's not really budget eating. That's like, why is my credit card crying eating? So no, it wasn't cheap or reasonably affordable. And then second, nutrition. Protein in the world of vegetarian fast food is basically a luxury good. To get anything beyond a bread and lettuce combo, I had to constantly add extra toppings, black beans, cheese, eggs, which of course bumped up my totals even more. But even after all that, I was barely scraping by at 88 grams of protein a day, just above the bare minimum my body needs to function. Meanwhile, my sodium intake was through the roof at almost 6,000 milligrams a day, more than double the recommended limit. So yeah, not exactly ideal, not healthy, not sustainable. And even if I had been eating meat, let's be honest, the numbers wouldn't have been magically better. Sure, I might have gotten more protein, but the calories, fat, and sodium probably would have been just as absurd. Fast food by design is a nutritional nightmare. Also, if you want to see the complete madness broken down along with my weight throughout the journey, the cost of individual meals, and then the nutritional value for individual items, I have that all linked down below in a complete spreadsheet, so check that out if you're interested. When it came to variety, breakfast was easy. Almost every fast food place has some version of an egg and cheese sandwich. Not glamorous, but it got the job done. Lunch and dinner, though, a completely different story. After breakfast, it turned into a scavenger hunt, and not the fun kind. That said, there were a few standouts. Starbucks Impossible Breakfast Sandwich, shockingly good. Burger King's Impossible Whopper, generally delicious. I'm telling you guys, whatever recipe Tweaks Impossible Foods made, they worked. I walked in skeptical and walked out a believer. On top of that, Culver had a really good veggie burger. Taco Bell always slaps. So real decent options exist. You just need to know where to look. At the end of the day, I did it. I survived, I stayed meat-free, and now I know the dark, salty secrets of America's fast food veggie menus. Would I do it again? Absolutely not. But was it worth it? I'll let you decide. I hope you learned something today. Special thanks to Rocket Money for sponsoring this video. Please check them out. It really helps support the channel. Thanks to my family, friends, my tattoo artist, and all my Patreon supporters. You guys are all the best. Thank you so much. Until next time, bye-bye.